I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot. People keep on asking me, even though it's 9 o'clock over here in Nigeria. I don't know what time it is over there. It's like 2, 3 in the morning. But I see a whole bunch of people still up on live on other people's channels. So I figured let me go ahead and open this thing up and give some people a chance to ask me some questions if anybody's woke. This would be a good tester because if y'all up like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, then I might be on to something. But I'm gonna give it a go. Okay, in the meantime, until I get somebody here, maybe I'll talk about 1 or 2 things. What else did I talk about? What's going on? What's going on, fam? All right, there's one person. All right. Go ahead. You got any questions for me? I'm here. I'm here for you. What's up? Okay, from New Jersey. That's what's up. That's like up the street from D.C., basically. That's up the street. 2.5 hours, $95 through the toll booth, and I'll be right there. So what's going on, chat? What's happening? I know it's cold over there. Yo, it's hot over here, okay? You understand? It's hot. I love being hot in January. I'm telling you. We supposed to be hot in January. What do I think about Dembe boxing? I like Dembe, but I think Dembe boxing should be highlighted. I've been having like I imagine if Nigeria was able to have like an anime industry, I think Dembe boxing would be something that could be highlighted. You know how you got like Japanese anime and then martial arts and whatnot? I think Dembe boxing, because I know one arm represents the weapon and the other arm represents the shield, right? So in my mind, the way I vision it is that if it was like an anime, like the arm would like glow and be like, it would be like some sort of aura, some sort of chi power, right? And then the one that's supposed to be the shield, it will like manifest some sort of like power shield or some shit. Like Dembe boxing should be cool as shit. And I know there's a lot of white folks, they go there and try to like fight with them boys and they get their ass knocked out. I always find that interesting. But I think Dembe boxing is something that should be highlighted. It should be something that people come to Nigeria to see as far as tourist wise, because people go to Senegal to see the wrestling. So why not come to Nigeria to see Dembe boxing, right? I think it should be organized and financed, and I really do like it, and it's fair and it's not as dangerous as some of the other sports because you guys have pretty fair rules. You know, you knock somebody out, you know, you hit them a couple times. It's not like crazy like certain sports. Like boxing is way more dangerous because of the constant hitting of the face. But I think Dembe boxing will be cool as shit, and I think there's ways to represent it. Even if you gotta jazz it up a little bit, you know, all martial arts are jazzed up to a certain extent. But I think Dembe boxing looks cool, and it's something that's originally from us. And I think Nigerian wrestling should be highlighted too, because that's our shit. So that's what I think about it. Oh yeah, I know it's freezing. I heard the roads were frozen. I heard it was like it snowed and then it got cold. My boy told me it was like 9 degrees. I'm like, fucking 9 degrees. It's like 95 degrees right now in the morning. It's 9 degrees there. I'm not looking forward to that shit. Okay, the wrapping of the hands represent the spear. Yeah, I figured it's a weapon. I think Dembe boxing, like, you could do both versions, like, because I know it's supposed to be practicing, but like I know there should be like like with the I would like to see the shield and the spear together. Like I've never seen it, like what the original spear looked like, what the shield looked like, what the armor looked like, or if they were warrior armor, what the regalia, like that shit right there, it fascinates me, to be honest. And that's some tough mofos, B. That's some tough people. And you doing it on the sand too. As much energy as it takes to move about on, like, people don't understand that, how much energy it takes to fight in sand. Because when I was in the Marine Corps, we practiced fighting in the sand. That shit will drain your body. Like that's just tough. Is it hot? I need it happy. It's hot as hell. It's 95 degrees and it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, it ain't even really got hot yet. No, I'm in Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria right now. I'm not in DC right now. It's 9 degrees in DC out here. But over here in Nigeria, it's 95 degrees at least. What up? All right, anybody got any more questions? Any questions for me? Just go ahead and fire off. I get a lot of emails from people, and I usually answer questions within the email. But I figured I try this live thing to give people more opportunity to have access to me and whatnot. What up? What up? What's going on, people? What's up, chat? We got what 30? Got 38 people up in here real quick. Okay, you guys don't sleep, huh? Okay, I get it. My email is afrothinktank42@gmail.com. If you look at on any of my videos, if you hit the description section, look all the way at the bottom, somewhere on there, I always put my email there. But if you don't see it, just in any video you see, just make a comment and ask me for my email. I'll give it to you. I try to check my comment. I check my comments all day long, so I will run across your message eventually. How are the locals over there? Oh, nice. The local people are very peaceful. Like, it's like family over here. Like, I feel like this is safe. The place is safe. I know on the news, you hear the Western propaganda about, and you hear about tribalism, and you hear about all the fighting. Now, there are issues happening in the North, and when you think about the issues that's happening in Nigeria, right? How they highlight it on TV. It's exaggerated to a certain extent, right? Compared to how they talk about it. Now, there's terrible things happening in the North, which are the border states, which border Niger and all that. Like all those people, those mainly of the Hausa Fulani tribe, I would say, but a lot of them are pretending to be Hausa and Fulani, but they're not. They're just Arab bandits or Arab-esque bandits from the Sahel coming in, invading the area. But right now, Nigeria has stepped up their security game. They're kicking some ass up there up north. Like they're not playing around no more. I think what Donald Trump did kind of embarrassed him somewhat, right? And so now they're stepping it up. Plus, America, what the West does to Nigeria. Every country has to usually purchase their weapons from some other country, right? Bullets, bombs, military equipment. And what America does is Nigeria say, okay, we need this many bullets, we need this many tanks, troop carrying vehicles, we need this many planes so we can fight these guys in the desert. And Nigeria will pay America, right? What America would do will stall the delivery of the weapons. And by doing so, it makes it so the Nigerian military can't do their job effectively because they don't have the bullets. Same way if you look at Ukraine. Ukraine, as you can see, a live example that everybody's paying attention to, Ukraine doesn't have the weapons to fight Russia. Ukraine is subservient to the West's ability to give them weapons in order to fight off Russia. So it's the same way, but in a smaller way here. But right now, Nigeria's military-industrial complex has been slowly but surely building their own personal capacity, along with the AES. They're building their personal capacity. So now they have their own drones, and drones are very important because you need to have eyes on the sky. Because we're talking about the Sahel, we're talking about northern Nigeria, it's very flat. So if it's flat, it's easy to hide a large amount of people in that desert, right? And if you don't have satellites that can like see these people from above, if you don't have planes and drones in the air that's always putting a blanket network of security, it's easy for these bandits to come and raid very rural villages on the outskirts of civilization in order to terrorize the people. And the reason why they're doing that is because that area is very rich. There's lots of gold, diamonds, minerals, ore, all kind of stuff there. So, but the thing is, the people up there own the land. So NGOs, white corporations, they, along with governments, they sponsor the terrorists to terrorize the people so they would leave. And when they leave, then the UN comes in under peacekeeping, right? And they take the area, and then under the lights of darkness, they start taking out the resources, and then they go in the desert and they fly out without dealing with customs and whatnot, all the resources out from the area, right? So that's pretty much going on. But Nigeria in general is peaceful, man. Like I can go out, there's Fulanis, like for instance, my plumber is a Fulani, right? He comes here, he fix my thing. I do business with Igbos. I'm in Yoruba land. Muslims and Christians marry each other. There's no issue like that. That's not like the issue that they be talking about. The tribalism usually happens within politics, right? But outside of like politics, which are the rich Nigerians with money, right? Outside of that, the regular people, they're not tripping. Damn Fulani will, a goddamn Hausa will marry a goddamn Igbo or Yoruba. None of that shit matters, except for the people that's like sucked into it. You know, you got people who are very who are, what would you say? You would call it tribalistic, but calling something tribalistic is simplistic, right? Because you gotta take in consideration that Nigeria really, in all honestly, is multiple countries, multiple nations with different people that were just recently told that they're one country. All right? Like imagine that, right? Imagine if Canada, America, Mexico, and all like just America, just we're gonna use those three. Mexico, Canada, and America was told, oh, by the way, you're one country. How do you think that would turn out? The Mexicans will still feel like this is Mexico. I'm Mexican. I want to do things the Mexican way. We got Mexican pride, Mexican culture. Americans would do that, and Canada would do the same thing. It would take a very long time for those three different groups to mesh, right? So same thing with Nigeria. Nigeria, every state is like a country, right? That's why they almost run independently. The Federation of Nigeria is meant to bring them together. So right now, the politicians are trying to figure out, after what, hundreds of years of these different nations fighting each other and dealing with each other politically and militarily, for whatever reason, you're telling them they're one group of people called Nigerians. That shit doesn't fly with everybody, right? All right. But the good thing about Nigeria is the youth don't care about none of that shit. The youth can give two shits about tribes. They don't care about none of that shit. The youth will be the ones to unite Nigeria. The old geezers, they're still stuck in their old ways, so that's just what that is. But listen, I can walk around as an African American. I can walk around this village by myself. I don't have to worry about security. Everybody knows who I am. If I need salt and sugar, I can knock on the door. If they need something, they can knock on my door. Kids, listen, little kids can walk from house to house. They ain't got to worry about nobody snatching you up because everybody takes care of everybody around. It's like a big ass family. It's infectious. It's the way black families used to be back when I was a child. Remember back? If you my age, I'm 42. If you my age, and remember when you used to go outside and play on the playground, play on the playground outside of your house, your grandmama and them would be on the porch, and then you knew your neighbor and the old grandmamas and the uncles, they all be on the porch, and everybody be on the streets playing, and somebody's uncle, somebody's auntie was watching you, right? And everybody. You get your ass whooped by the babysitter up the street, all right? And then the babysitter call your mom and tell you what you did outside, and then by the time you got home, you got your other ass whooping from the house. It's like that. So I mean, it's safe. It's safe. It's definitely safe. Let's see what we got here. With my son twice a week at least, I tell him I will not wear a label that the man trademark. What is a good argument that I can start? I'm not FBA, and I argue with my son twice a week at least. I tell him I will not wear a label that the man trade. Oh, this FBA thing. All right, so Tariq Nasheed's a pimp, right? Like you just gotta. That's why history is important. If you pay attention to history, you'll see how we got here. Tariq Nasheed started out with first he started to be a rapper, right? Y'all gotta remember this is before YouTube. He started out as a rapper. This is back when people used to sell their DVDs and stuff on the street, right? This is right around that Sonetta when Sonetta was the only black guy on TV, and he had all those pseudos talking about all this stuff, and they used to debate, right? Then there was a time where pimp culture was popular. They used to have the pimp ball, and you had Rosebud with 2 D's for a double dose of that pimping, right? That shit was real popular. So then Tariq Nasheed switched to that, and then he went on the David Letterman show, and then he got a couple interviews where he was he wasn't a real pimp, but he was pretending to be a pimp, right? And then he switched up from pimp to the Mac. He's teaching people how to manipulate women in order to get in their panties. So Tariq Nasheed was really one of the first. He was one of the very first ones to do what you would call like manosphere stuff. He was like one of the first manosphere, how to get women type of dude. That was his whole thing. How to manipulate women for money, right? And so all he did, and then so what happened was when Sonetta was popular, he got on that grift. He said, okay, this Pan-African stuff, this pro-black, this consciousness stuff is making money. So then he came out with Hidden Colors. If you look at Hidden Colors, he had pretty much the whole star cast of Sonetta on there, right? Tariq Nasheed is good at producing products, right? So he produced that and he became very popular. But keep in mind, that was all Pan-African. He's famous. He got his big start being a Pan-African at the moment at which Pan-Africanism and consciousness was coming into the lexicon, and it got real popular. And then he realized Pan-Africanism doesn't pay after a while, right? After his DVDs, there's no money in it because the industry's not pushing pro-black stuff. Your algorithm is not pushing pro-black anything, right? So then he had to find something else. So the ADOS thing with Yvette Carnell started to pop off. Then you had the Security Tribe, right? And then you had the call for reparations, right? What's going on, man? What's going on, African Goddess? They had to call for reparations, right? And so, you know, we all do reparations. That's a fact, right? But the thing is, we know we're not getting it because when has the white man ever given back what he's stolen? I mean, we're older, yes. When has the white man ever given back what he's stolen? Never, right? So he jumped on that. He heard the ADOS, and Yvette Carnell had a good group, big, large group of people. So Treek saw that shit, and he was like, oh, damn. That sound good. He was actually trying to get up in the ADOS thing. He would have jumped on that. But then he said, you know, Treek likes his own shit. So he came up with a name, Foundational Black American, because it sounds good. It sounds wonderful. Foundational Black America. Because America, if you listen to the definition of the word, African Americans are, in fact, by all definitions, the foundation of what created America. So the name sounds right, right? Now, if Tariq Nasheed would have said Foundational Black American and he didn't troll Africans all day long, then it would have been cool, right? But it turned into a xenophobic hate group because ADOS was xenophobic because their whole thing was, we don't want Jamaicans and Haitians to get our reparations, right? We don't want to share, right? And then that we don't want to share with other Africans as if other Jamaicans and Caribbeans was asking for our reparations. Like I never heard I never heard a Jamaican say, I want African Americans reparations. Never in my life. Never heard a Haitian say, I want reparations. I want African Americans reparations. But he knew there was a sentiment out there that, hey, African Americans want to make sure that when we get our check, that it comes directly to us, and therefore we need to make sure that the white man understands that there's a difference between African Americans and those other black people. Even though white people don't see a difference. No matter how much we want to delineate, white people's eyes have never delineated. They see black. That's it, right? So it got toxic. And so at that point, the term FBA got toxic because it's synonymous with a bunch of black people who are lacking in education, lacking in understanding, and very susceptible to somebody that have a silver tongue in their mouth and can whip up their emotions, right, in order to sell t-shirts and hats called FBA on his website, right? That's what happened. So, you know, and the thing is, reparations is being pushed and championed by Pan-Africans. Reparations is a Pan-African initiative. Reparations is something Pan-Africans have always been pushing for and advocating for, right? And here's the thing about it. All black people are due reparations. All of us, Caribbeans, Haitians, Jamaicans, Africans, African Americans, all of us are due reparations. And last time I checked, we all speak in English. Because the people who did it were English people. Right? You had the Dutch, the English, the French. These European countries owe black people in general reparations, right? And last time I checked, America is a continent, all right? The United States is the United States of the continent of America. So technically, right, and literally, all Caribbeans, all Latin Americans are African Americans. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? And there's never been anything wrong with that until certain ignorant individuals thought that they was going to have to share some money from the white man, right? Which is a dead argument because they're not giving a shit. We got to take that motherfucker, right? And the only way to take it is to get involved in politics, right? The only way to take it is for us to write our own check. We have to get into positions of power in order to write our own check to cut it ourselves. That's the only way we're going to do it because the white man ain't going to do it. Not the liberal white man, not the conservative white man, period, right? So as a Pan-African, it forced me to have to go against FBA because they're a group that pushes disunity. Plus, FBA, Tariq Nasheed was low-key campaigning for Donald Trump, which any intelligent individual would be like, yeah, that's not our guy, right? As imperfect as the Democrats are, keep in mind, The Democrats is not just one party. The Democrat is a tent party filled with different factions. You have the liberal faction, the conservative faction, the centrist faction. You have the far left, which is different from the liberal. Then you have the progressive faction within the Democratic Party. African Americans' political power in America, we hold 20% political power within the Democratic Party, and that 20% is within the progressive movement of the party. All right, meaning we want to progress to the future. We want to progress. All Democratic progressive policies are policies that African Americans advocate for, right? And that would also benefit everybody else. And all African American Democratic progressive policies are popular with 80% of the American public in general, right? Now, the Republican Party, they have nothing for us, right? So when it comes to voting, when it comes to politics, you have those who say don't participate in politics because they're both the wings of the same bird. Like, okay, I understand that, right? But at the same time, they're not the same, right? As much as it's easy and intellectually lazy to say so, they're not the same, right? Because progressive African Americans are not like white Christian conservatives, period. Now, the problem we have in the Democratic Party, we don't have enough black people participating in the center of power which we hold. Meaning we need more representation within the Democratic Party to take it over from those white liberals, those white leftists, those white centrists, and those white conservative Democrats like Joe Lieberman, right? Like any Democrat that runs for West Virginia is really a Republican pretending to be a Democrat. That's just a fact, right? It's always been that way. So the only way forward, right, besides our feelings, is to get more involved in politics, period. If you sit on the couch, you are leaving your future up to white people to decide whether they want to give you trinket or not, a butter biscuit from underneath the table. That's the problem. So we have to participate in politics because politics is life, right? So anybody advocating for you sitting on the couch just because you can't get all the legislation you want from the Democrats, that's a dead mission. All you're doing is supporting your enemy. Your enemy are the Christian conservative white Republicans because their whole thing is to conserve white supremacy. So any black person talking about a conservative, they're coons because they're conserving white supremacy. All right? But at the same time, the Democrats are weak. They don't know how to fight because most of them are intellectuals. They're not fighters. They all went to college. They all went to university, right? So they all got ideas of how things should work, right? And a lot of them sell out to corporate donors. And that's just a fact. And we all know who that is, Mr. J, all right, in the suit, right? When they throwing dollars at you. But here's the thing about that. Let's say I'm a politician, right? Let's say I want to be a politician. I go to my black community and say, yeah, I want to do this. I want to give you universal health care. I want to do all this. I want to do that, right? My opponent, right? He's a lackluster somebody nobody wants to support. But my opponent got sponsored by Mr. J and his non-governmental organization, right? And Mr. J got $10 million in his coffers to run against me. That means he has $10 million to flood the airways with propaganda making him look good. Now, I have to go to my people, my black people, and say, hey, I need y'all to support me, right? And because black people are, as a whole, right, we're not as politically active as we are supposed to be. If I was running, I wouldn't have $10 million in my coffer, even though the people who I'm supposed to represent have trillions of dollars of purchasing power. But instead of supporting our political opponents, we want to go entertain ourselves. We want to say F politics is all the same instead of supporting a candidate that has their best interest at heart. So if I'm running and I got to run against somebody who got $10 million to run against me, how am I going to win? I can't get commercials on the airway. I can't get radio time. I can't pay for a tour bus to go around. Nobody even knows who I am. Therefore, I lose and they win because the powers that be financed him, right? So a person who wants to be involved in politics, what do? They end up capitulating because here comes the other Mr. J. He say, hey, man, your man over there got 10 million. I give you 15 million, but all you got to do, you see this legislation? I need you to pass this so my corporation ain't got to pay taxes. If you just go in there and pass this piece of legislation, promise me now, I'm gonna make you sign it. I'll give you $15 million so you can go ahead and defeat your opponent. What happens to a politician? He accepts it. He said, you know what? I'm gonna accept it, right? And after that, it's a domino effect. So now you got people like Hakeem Jeffries, right? He's supposed to be black. He's supposed to be fighting for us. But guess who we take money from? The Jews. Why? Because His opponent that he has to compete against is gonna get money from the other Jews with the money. So, I mean, it's a lose-lose situation when black people don't support politicians, and that's just the nature of the beast, right? So, if we become more politically active as black people, and we decide to really grab hold of a candidate and support them wholeheartedly, then we can empower them to be able to effectively campaign against those who got billions of dollars because they're getting sponsored by somebody, right? And then another thing we can do is Citizens United. Citizens United was the bill that was passed to make donating money a First Amendment right, right? And so that caused it so corporations were able to overwhelm public funding. And now that's why all our politicians are just avatars for corporations. So until we eliminate Citizens United, we ain't never gonna get nothing. It don't matter. It does not matter. And that goes for the white conservatives too. White Christian conservatives will never get any legislation that they want as long as Citizens United is there, because it's not an even playing field. We need public funding of campaigns. That's how Barack Obama won, because everybody saw that black man, and we all, for the first time, we all got together and we was like, yeah, we gonna vote for that guy. And so we was throwing money at him. So he was able to compete against his opponents who were already billionaires. You understand? So if we don't make ourselves politically active, we can't effectively make change in politics. And we have to participate. And politics is nasty. You have to be a diplomat, and you have to give to get, right? Because it's not just as easy as going in there and being righteous and saying, I want to do this for my people. When you got 200, 300, 400 other people that got other people that they are beholden to, and they got their own minds of what they want to do, and they already made their own individual deals with all these entities that you have to compete against with when it comes to politics. So any group of people that's advocating for black people not to participate in politics, and any group of people that advocate for us to go against the only political power that we have, I'm talking the only political power that we have in this country lies in the Democratic Party, period. We have no power in the Republican Party. As you can see, every black Republican had to do what? They had to dance, they had to tap dance, right? And when they tap dance, what happened? After they finished tap dancing, they got thrown away. So in reality, there's nothing for us in the Republican Party. Now, in a perfect world, we should be able to be in all the parties and participate evenly, but that's not the real world, right? So as a Pan-African who promotes unity, I know we have to secure our power, and we politically, right? We have to secure our power economically, meaning our businesses need to be supported by each other, right? And our politics, we need to support our politics with each other. That's the only way we can do it, whether we like it or not. And the thing is, when we do support our politicians, we have to demand them. We have, hey, this is what we want. If you do not give us what we want, come next election, we will not support you. We have to be rough and hold our politicians accountable, all of them. We can't just be giving them our vote and letting them go bullshit. No, we have to be on their ass, and that's just what it is. So, FBA, Foundational Black Americans, is an ineffective group. Delineation into what? There's never been a group of people ever in the history of mankind to ever be successful delineating from a bigger group. That is the recipe for disaster. It goes the same for Nigeria. Look, there's a group of Nigerians that want Belfron, right? I understand it because that's Igbo land, right? But here's the problem, right? If you split Nigeria up, they no longer become the giant, they become small, insignificant city-states that will have no political power on the world stage, period. That's truth. That is the God's honest truth. As much as the internal strife says that, hey, Igbo land, because, to be honest, I'm here in Nigeria. Igbos are disenfranchised politically. They are, right? Now, Igbos are the best business people in Nigeria. Yorubas are the most educated people in Nigeria. Hausas, they're business people too, right? But they got the Islamic issue thing going up there. They got a lot of stuff to deal with, but they have so much potential. They're so rich, but Islam is really slowing them down, right? A lot, right? Arrested development to the max up there, right? But the Yorubas refuse to allow Igbos to take political power as heads of state because they're afraid that if Igbos take power as heads of state in Nigeria, that they will campaign and give Belfron, separates Belfron, which every other group is afraid of because they're like, if y'all do that, that's a recipe for the Europeans to come in and pick you off one by one. Because keep in mind, that Belfron War was sponsored by Europeans, just like every other war. They financed both sides, they egged on both sides, and got both sides to kill each other. The same way America, listen, the present will show you what happened in the past. The same way you see what happened in Ukraine. America egged on Russia, told Russia, yeah, we about to make Ukraine part of the United Nations, part of NATO, and then Russia got flipped out because the last thing they want is them Anglo-Saxon barbarians on their border with nuclear weapons. Russia had no choice but to invade Ukraine to create a buffer space in between them and Europe. And what we do, we gave money to Ukraine to keep the war going, and we slow burned them as if we didn't give them enough weapons to fight Russia. We didn't allow them to use those weapons to attack Moscow because we wanted to be a slow burn to slow down Russia, not to destroy Russia, right? So if you watch how America operates in foreign policy right now, you will see what they did in the past. You will see how they split up Africa in the past. Why I exist as an African American, because the Europeans went over there and they saw them Oyos, all right, beating up on them Igbos. They saw those Oyos and the Dahomies fighting for whatever political reason, even though Oyos, Igbos, and Dahomey, they're all the same people. All those people come from a group of people. They split off. There were families. They created different cultures, but they're all the same, like, racially, they're the same group. Tribe just means different people. They split up in different nations a while ago, right? They all come from an original kingdom. They broke up, became different kingdoms. There's a hell of a story behind it, and I've been learning it since I've been here. Very complicated, and the Europeans took advantage of that shit, right? And like I said, if you pay attention to history right now, you will see exactly how Europe was able to go in there and go ahead and hey, you Dahomey, y'all want some guns? Go fight those little Igbos because y'all know y'all can't handle it. And so them Dahomey would get them guns and go up there and fight them goddamn Oyos. And then Oyo like, hold the fuck up. How the hell these motherfuckers get these goddamn guns? And here comes another European. Hey, y'all getting y'all ass kicked now, huh? You want some guns? Just give me your war captives. That's all we want. Just give me your war captives. Sure, right? Anything not to get slaughtered by this group of this other nation that we've just been dominating, right? So now everybody got guns. So now war becomes even more deadly than it used to be, because when it was hand to hand, Africans, and all my Africans in the comment section, go ahead and back me up. We had mechanisms and ways to avoid massive killings. We had ways of, right before we about to get into it, sometimes cooler heads would prevail because we really didn't want to kill each other because of the finite resources of men, right? Therefore, after war, just like most nations, you would keep the men that you captured because you would add them in your community because you needed more men, right? To work the fields, to marry women, to create babies. It's the same thing with Native Americans. They did the same thing to the Native Americans. But once you add a weapon and you add a gun, it's much different when you got a man-on-man somebody than when a dude is way over there and you press the button and he just fall and die. That's some shocking shit. And there's no way you can't have a conversation with a dude like that. Right? So the weapons that they brought in created such a chaotic situation at which people just start to kill each other. Right? Same thing happened with Native Americans. These Native Americans were fighting, the tribes were fighting each other. They was warring for whatever reason. White folks like, hey man, we give you some of these damn muskets and we give you some of these damn horses. Now you got weapons of mass destruction. Go fight your enemy who been kicking your ass. Right? And then once they start kicking their ass, what the other white people do? Hey, I heard y'all getting your ass kicked. Y'all need some guns? And before you know it, you allow them to kill each other. And then once they softened up, white folks moved in there like United Nations under the guise of peace, right? And they come and take your shit. That's what happened, right? So that's just, if you just pay attention to what's happening now, you will understand what's happening in the future. And the thing is, as Pan-Africans, the thing about unity is not something that we're trying to get back. Unity is something that we're trying to create, right? So we need African nations to get over their tribal differences in order, and it doesn't mean be the same. We need Igbos to be Igbos. We need Yorubas to be Yorubas. We need Hausas to be Hausas. We need Fulanis to be Fulanis. We need everybody to be who they are and be proud about who they are. But at the same time, we got to have a great forgiveness. We have to forgive each other. So Nigerians have to forgive each other, and they have to give up a little bit of their ego, a little bit of their pride, a little bit just to give another group a chance, right? That means the rhetoric has to be turned down, right? That means you can't be talking about separation, because separation ain't gonna do. The white man wants you to separate. The white man will advocate and pay for and sponsor for all of you guys to separate under the guise of your tribalistic ways. They want you to. The same way in America. We got tribalism in America amongst African Americans. Look how many gangs we got. What do you think a gang is? A gang is a group of people, right? Smaller, of course, but in the same context. We got Bloods and Crips. Remember, Bloods and Crips started out as a revolutionary movement to protect black people from everybody else. And how did it get corrupt? White people infiltrated, right? They gave us drugs. They gave us guns, right? They made us fight each other. And now you got these two gangs that have been fighting for decades. For what? Blue and red? Then we got all these other gangs and shit. No discipline. They're just murdering each other on the streets. Even though there's white people that's looking to kill them within their own house, all they can see is each other's enemy. So in America, we need a great forgiveness. We need to forgive. We need the gangs to forgive each other. We need a generation that's going to that's going to get hit and not hit back. And that's hard to do, because every time somebody get punched, motherfucker, you want to punch that dude back, right? But if we don't forgive each other, we can never move on, because our enemy don't give a shit. Our enemy wants us to keep fighting each other. Our enemy loves when Tariq Nasheed goes online and uses dumbass African. He loves that shit. He loves when Tariq Nasheed and all these coons who are promoting division make thumbnails where they make Africans look degenerate and unhuman and savage, while the African American looks tall. Look at every thumbnail these certain individuals on YouTube use to make Africans look bad, and they pretend like they ain't got no problem with Africans. Yet you create the propaganda for the white man to be able to sit back and relax and say, look at them niggas fighting each other. Look at them niggas arguing each other, knowing that we're fighting using the talking points of white supremacy, right? And as long as we fight each other, the enemy can keep shooting us in the back. And that's it. So the same way we forgive white folks, the same way we provide grace and peace for these white folks who raped and murdered and killed us for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years, but yet we go to church with them. We marry them. We friends with them. We even let some of them say the word nigga, right? We give them all the grace and peace in the world. We go on vacation into these European white Wakandas that was built off the back of our ancestors. We do all that shit, don't we? Huh? We ain't got no problem with white folks, but as soon as we see another black person, we looking for a reason to have an issue. We looking for a reason to fight. Huh? We look in the mirror and we ready to punch ourselves. And it's ridiculous. So we need to we need to use that same energy we got for all the peacefulness and all that we give to the white folks. We need to give that to each other. You wonder why African comes over here and some of them act more uppity. Well, when I say African, when the continental African comes to America, yeah, some of them act all uppity and shit. They be talking shit. The question is why? Why do some Africans come to America and talk shit and act like African Americans ain't never done nothing? That's the real reason. That's the real question. And then when you think about it, it's because the white man brainwashed him to think that way. Okay, so you pin that shit, right? Why do African Americans, right, talk shit about Africans who come over there? Why do African Americans talk shit about Africans who just want to come and have a better opportunity? Because that same white person that the African American done gave grace to are the same white people who go to our homeland, their country, and disenfranchise and destabilize their countries, forcing them to have to go somewhere for a better life. Why do we sit back and act like African American, we are great and we standing up our own bootstraps, when in fact it's the resources and the people from the places we are from that's being siphoned is the reason why we get to live like this. On top of the fact that we fought for this freedom, right? It's because the white man is the one who taught us. So when you realize the white man is the one who's been starting all this shit, we supposed to be like, you know what? We shouldn't be fighting. Let's go fight that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's to go, right? So let's talk about African booty scratcher. I was called an African booty scratcher. I'm African American. I was called African booty. It was joning. It's shit talking, right? So in elementary school, we all know kids are mean as shit, right? High school, kids are mean as shit. I don't care what country you in. Kids are mean as shit. They're just now learning how to socialize. They're just now learning how to deal with other people. You got your bullies, you got your ones getting bullied, you got your nerds, you got your introverts, extrovert. High school, middle school, that area where you find out who you are, right? As an individual and how you stack up in society, right? Now, if you got an African coming to an African American community, because usually when Africans come, they come to the African American community. They live with us. They're with us, right? So you got this African he go to a high school or middle school. He got this accent, right? And he's amongst African Americans. They looking at him, and as soon as it's time to talk shit, the first thing soft brain mattered little children gonna do is make fun of the very first thing they can do. Your accent. Look at you. You sound like this and that. You like that, right? Just like if you got a big ass head, what they gonna call you? Big head, right? I'm light skinned. You know what my name was when I was in school? They used to make fun of me. Cheeseburger. If Cheeseburger was my nickname in the hood, why? Because I'm yellow. They call me a piece of cheese and shit. And then we used to play football, and I used to hit motherfuckers hard and flatten them out. And somehow my name became Cheeseburger. Then it was short for cheese, and people just call me Cheese. My whole life they called me Cheese. Okay, we had one ugly dude. We called him Fish Head. He looked like a piranha, right? We called him Fish Head. If you was black, somehow your name was Smoke or Crunchy or some shit like that. That's just what it was. So if you was African, you had an accent, they was gonna make fun of you. Everybody got called African Booty Scratcher, right? And where do we get that African Booty Scratcher name from, right? Remember Disney? Who remember the old Disney? You know, them motherfuckers don't open up that vault. Remember the old cartoons? They won't even show that shit. If I showed a Disney cartoon, that shit would be flagged off YouTube for community guideline violation. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember Disney commercials? Remember Looney Tunes, the old ones? They couldn't even, listen, Elmer Fudd, they can't even play Elmer Fudd no more. The way the old Elmer Fudd was Chase the Rabbit. Remember that? You will never see Elmer Fudd running around the forest with a shotgun chasing Bugs Bunny no more. He can't do it. Because the cartoons we used to have back in the day was racist. I mean, racist. And then you had the commercials. Remember the commercials with the sad ass music and that the one skinny fat African with the fly? That fly ain't never, listen, that dude ain't never blinked. That goddamn fly was zzz. That joint like, zzz. And you got the white dude with the beard. He was so sad. For only 75 cents a day, you can sponsor this kid and feed him forever for 75 cents. Them kids ain't never see that damn change. Them corporations making billions of dollars because they would keep 80% of the profit. The other 10% would go to operational costs. And only 10% of that money would make it. They're going to build a couple goddamn wells and say they did some shit. And they was stealing from the black community because the black community was giving money to Africans through those charitable organizations for decades. And that shit never translated in any type of development in Africa. Right? But they programmed us to think that Africa was nothing but a bunch of tribesmen, right? Running around in loincloths with a goddamn spear. Like, we believe that to this day. ISO Speed had to go over there, and you got people to this day that thought Africa was just a Discovery Channel. Come on, like seriously. When you think about why we say the shit that we say, right? It's all because the white man implanted that shit in us. So in order to move past that, we have to recognize that we've all been tricked with propaganda. All of us. Africans on the continent told us, they've been told, what do you think they was watching? Black exploitation, huh? Remember them old movies and Shaft and shit? Pootie Tang? Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood? Menace to Society? Menace to Society was the worst fucking movie ever created in mankind, man. Menace to Society was the worst, most exaggerated movie ever created in mankind, to the point that where the fucking actors who made the movie stopped acting and wouldn't even do another movie like that ever. They wanted the movie to be eliminated. I can't even watch that shit right now. And what do you think those Africans was watching? They was watching that shit. Juice, right? Hyper violence. So what you think they think? What do you think a mama gonna say? What do you think an African mama gonna say when you go to America? Hey, you see me? Don't go over there. Don't hang out with them, huh? Would I tell you to go hang out with Boko Haram? Huh? I would tell you to stay away from Boko Haram and that, wouldn't I? Right? I would say, hey, don't fuck with them Boko Haram, man. You stay far away from them motherfuckers, right? So you gotta understand why they think the way they think. So we get past the superficial shit talking. We get past all that. Move towards the solution. Education. Understanding. Right? Letting us tell our own stories. Right? Being better representations of ourselves. Because it's not like African Americans don't promote that shit because it's the easy way to make money. Right? Look at all this thuggish shit that we got on YouTube now. Everybody. You still got people like, what's that dude name? Whack 100? Dude, 50 years old. All that Adam 22, that's just black exploitation. A bunch of degenerate people highlighting gang culture as if that's something to be proud of. Think about it. That shit ain't nothing to be proud of. Gang culture is whack. Street culture is whack. That shit is poverty porn, right? Just like all them white people, Mr. Beast, go to Africa. Where they go? They go when they come to Nigeria. They went straight. When white people come to Nigeria, where they go? They go straight to that worst part of Nigeria. They go to that goddamn place with the people living on the water. The place that just got tore down, by the way. They shouldn't have did it that way. Like, I understand, but you can't just displace all those people just to get rid of that. It was a stain on all of Nigeria, to be honest. But they should have did it better. They should have relocated those people. They should have built some sort of something somewhere and gave them a place to stay if you were just going to demolish the whole place. Because that's waterfront property. All right, that's premium real estate. They do need to clean the water. They do need to fix the area. But at the same time, the way they went about it was bad. But at the same time, to be honest, when it comes to construction, that's how nations move. They don't got time to deal with each individuals and their gripes when it comes to making massive moves quickly. That's just the hard part about development. Shit like that gonna happen. Same shit happens in China. Same shit happens in America. They don't give a fuck. If some billionaires say, hey, we get a bunch of $1 billion, we want to develop this area, the government gonna be like, yeah, we about to move all these mofos. We ain't got time to be dealing with your individual issues and your individual, like, we don't care about none of that shit. We gotta make money, we gotta develop. Move. Move right now. So it's unfair, but that's just development. But we have to move the conversation forward. We have to move the conversation past arguing about Akata, booty scratcher, like we're grown ass people. So what? All right. When you was in high school, and there was an African American making fun of your big ass head. It was an African American calling me fucking cheeseburger and shit. Most of as mad as you are about some African that made fun of you, right? First of all, here's another thing. You expect as African Americans as much shit as we talk, because we talk all kind of shit for fun, right? And usually it's not as serious as a person who doesn't understand the African American culture of joning, of shooting the dozens. They don't understand it. So when they come here, they think that shit is personal. It's hurting their feelings. But at some time, them goddamn Africans will be like, oh, you motherfucker. All right? I'm gonna say some shit back, bitch. Right? And then we like, oh my God. Did you just call me a name? Like, nigga, you been calling me names for 30 years. I'm about to get my get back because they black just like us. They got that same shit, especially Nigerians. You got to understand, African-Americans are the latest Africans to come to the Western Hemisphere. Y'all keep saying, I accuse myself of doing it too. We keep throwing up this 500 years. We've been gone for 500 years. We've been gone for 400 years. No. That's the Caribbean. That's South America. The shit started with the Portuguese and the Dutch in South America. They've been going for 200 plus years before the first African even came to North America. We African Americans, all right, are the only, well, some Caribbeans, just a very few who came late. We African Americans are the only ones who have records of our direct ancestors in Nigeria and in Ghana and Sierra Leone. You pay attention to our stories and our histories. We have people who remember their people in Africa. We just got here. America's only 250 years old. America is only 250 years old. African Americans are the latest. There is a ship manifest. I've posted this shit on my wall. All right, y'all know I be posting like a motherfucker on my wall. We are the very last Africans to leave Africa. We are the newest Africans in the Western Hemisphere. Therefore, we are in fact the closest to Africa compared to everybody else. Like for me, for instance, I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm part of the Great Migration, right? My family's part of the Great Migrations. My slave plantation is called Sweetbriar Plantation in Lynchburg, Virginia. All right? If your last name is Fletcher, we are related. All right? You're from Virginia, we are related. My family, I have pictures of my slave master, the guy. I got a picture of him. I know why I'm light-skinned, because I know what that nigga look like. All right? My slave plantation is famous. You can look that shit up. Sweetbriar Plantation in Lynchburg, Virginia. It's currently a museum and all-girls college. Right? I've been in the slave plantation. I've been in the big house and seen the original furniture. I've been in the slave house where my ancestors were not that long ago and held the chains that were wrapped around my ancestors' legs and neck and wrists. I've been to the unmarked graves of my ancestors. I know what the first African looked like that was brought over here on the ship. Okay? I know what they look like. So I know my genealogy. So when FBA be like, yeah, genealogy, I'm one of the very few African Americans who know his genealogy to the first African. And here's the funny part though. The first African was a man who was brought over, and guess who he married? He married a Native American woman. I know what she looks like. But then the rest of them married black people, right? So, but my Native Americanness didn't pop up in my DNA, because I guess it got overridden by all the black folks. So the thing is, and then you can do your DNA, you can find out where you're from. If you're in South Carolina, in North Carolina, we still got Igbo villages, and we still got goddamn Yoruba villages. They still speak Yoruba. They're still there. Our history's right there, guys. They're right there. We still got the Gullah Geechee who know exactly where they come from in Africa. Our present day situation tells us where we're from. Though in them, there are a few African Americans who are mixed up with Native Americans, but it wasn't that many. It wasn't that many. And the thing is, FBA and that pretending shit is drowning out the real African American, Native Americans who should be represented properly. But because of the FBA, it drowns out the real ones who are really mixed with Native Americans. And the reason why we're mixed with Native Americans is because the fucking Cherokee decided they wanted to be white, and they enslaved us and raped us and was worse than the white people. That's what happened. And then some Native Americans, like the Blackfoot, fought with us and liberated us from those slave plantations because we had the same common enemy, which was them white folk. So in some cases, Africans were liberated by Native Americans from slave plantations, and we fought together, unified, against those goddamn white folks. And in other cases, Native American tribes enslaved us because they wanted to be part of white society. That's our relationship with Native Americans. And also, the Buffalo Soldier was the weapon of mass destruction used to defeat the Native Americans in the Western Plains. You think they were sending them white boys out there to get killed by the Native Americans? Hell no. They sent African Buffalo Soldiers to kill and genocide those Native Americans on behalf of white supremacy. So all of us got some shit involved. All of us got some shit that we did that's not so honorable in the past, right? That we was forced to do by the Europeans, because we're all being used as tools. Just like Native Americans was used to destroy other Native Americans. They weren't all united. There were different nations of people here who had their own individual historical issues that they got exacerbated by the white man giving them guns, allowing them to kill each other more effectively, and bringing them horses so they can kill each other faster, right? And then you had other white, French, European, Dutch, they were all fighting each other. So while we was in here being enslaved, white people were at war with other white people, utilizing Native Americans to fight other white people on their behalf. This shit was complicated. All white people have never been unified in slavery shit. They've been murdering each other before slavery, murdering each other during slavery, and they're still murdering each other now because they've never known peace with each other. They only stop for 5 minutes at a meeting to say, hey, we're going to split this shit up. Right after that, they start fighting. The reason why slavery ended because the British wanted to make sure that the damn Spaniards and the Dutch didn't continue to make money. It wasn't out the kindness of their heart. It was because they was trying to disenfranchise other Europeans. Shit, all of England should be speaking Spanish if it wasn't for a big-ass storm. Like, seriously. If it wasn't for a big-ass storm, Spain was about to fuck goddamn England up. All right, so that's that shit. And then England itself ain't nothing but a colony of Germans. The goddamn Germans went over there and fucked up goddamn England, the original Brits. Then them goddamn Vikings went over there and enslaved and fucked up the original Brits. The people living in the UK right now are not even the original people. That's why you got the people from Wales, they're like, we ain't part of England. Because they feel like they're the originals. And you got the Celtics and the goddamn Irish who are being subjugated and they're being fucking abused and being treated like second-class citizens. So Europeans have a history of enslaving and doing this shit to each other, and they do it to us. And the same tax is being utilized today. And now that Africa is liberating themselves, because we were naive thinking that everybody was like us. What do? We open our arms and allow them to come in and, hey, you want this gold? It don't mean shit, here you go. All right, and you give me that fucking bottle of wine, that's cool, right? You give me that umbrella, yeah, that's cool. And then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, that goddamn gold became currency. And then we were told we were broke, even though that shit used to be ours. You get it? So Europeans have done a very good job at manipulating the world, right? You got to give them props. I mean, shit. Give them white motherfuckers some props. They good at it, right? They good at that shit. But that shit's over, right? Because now the black man has stood up. But it requires us to unify. We have to get over the bullshit that we got going on, right? So that's why I stole FBA, Foundational Black, American, right? And now it's foundational Black African. Because first of all, FBA don't own acronyms, all right? And they can't say they're the originators because the original term FBA is fulfillment by Amazon, okay? So if anybody gonna get mad at me for foundational Black African, it could be Jeff Bezos because he is the one who owns FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, okay? Acronyms can be used for all kind of shit, just like you got the United States of America, USA, while Africa, the African Union, and various other African institutions are advocating for, and there is a plan for, the United States of Africa, USA. So one day, USA will be on top, all right? And USA will be at the bottom. Just like FBA will be at the bottom, while FBA will be at the top. You get it? So that's just what it is. And so it requires us to be strong and fight against ignorance. I'm not against any black people at all. I am against ignorance. That's all, right? So when people say, "Oh, you're attacking your own people," I've never attacked African Americans. If anybody watches me, you will see that I'm one of the most positive, pro African American people on YouTube. Period. Matter of fact, I challenge anybody to find anybody on YouTube that's more pro African American than me, that make videos that you know don't make no money because it ain't talking about black degeneracy, all positive shit in me. But y'all know I talk about FBA because they don't represent African Americans. They don't represent black Americans. They represent Tariq Nasheed's fan club. They represent people Tariq Nasheed was able to manipulate because they don't have the education to understand Tariq Nasheed is a pimp, a Mac Daddy who's pimping them and their disgruntledness, who's pimping them because he understands that there are some African Americans who are tired of being taken advantage of being talked shit about foreigners coming to America, right? Reaping the benefits of what African Americans have done while shitting on us. And y'all know I have in the past, I make sure as a proud Pan-African, as a proud African American, I have defended African Americans from ignorant ass Africans and Caribbeans who think they can come to America and reap the benefits of America while talking shit about the people who created this type of peace that they're able to have. Because here's the truth. America is the only country in the world. Only. There is no other country like America that, despite all the shit that we got going on with Donald Trump, America is the only country in the world where women have this much agency. Period. You know who did that? African Americans. You go ahead and go to the UK, even in the white Wakanda, they ain't got no agency like us. They don't even got freedom of speech over there, to be honest. Right? Go to Asia, man. Let them women talk that shit. They got nothing over there. Even in Africa, where outside of Islam and Christianity, African women used to be empowered. Right? That's true African culture. African women were empowered and they stood next to their men as partners in their feminine role, right? Never overstepping or undermining the black man, but we never had to subjugate that black woman, right? That's real African history. Islam has ruined that. Christianity has ruined that. Those foreign religions has ruined that. But ultimately, African culture is that. But you can't find no place in Africa that gives women the amount of power that they have in America. Period. You can't. No foreigner has the ability to level themselves up economically like they do in America. And all of that has to do with African Americans and our fight for liberation. So I get offended when somebody think they can come to America talking shit about us, not realizing we are the reason that they can do that. We are the reason. Like, how you gonna talk on a cell phone and talk shit to us when we the ones who invented the technology for you to be on the cell phone and talk shit about us? Huh? How you gonna do that? How are you gonna use the technology invented by African Americans to talk shit about African Americans? It's because they don't know that we invented that shit. It's because they don't teach that shit in school now, do they? How are they supposed to know? Who's supposed to teach them? You know the white man ain't gonna teach them shit. White man ain't gonna teach them shit. We have to do it, right? But what are we busy doing? What are we busy doing? Concentrating on hip hop and sports, the easy way out for black youth to get out here and become millionaires. What do we highlight the most? Do we highlight our black scientists? Nope. Do we highlight our black geeks and nerds in academia? Nope. We don't highlight none of that shit. We highlight nigga shit. Because everybody likes to watch it. Even though nigga shit, ghetto shit, that's not even black shit. That's Southern British culture. Okay? Nigga shit is Southern British culture. If you look at the United Kingdom, right? Look at Europe and look at their hoods and ghettos. That's ghetto. Look at how they act and their mannerisms. All that shit is European culture we have adopted. It's just that we make the shit look cool because we are cooler than everybody else. Anything we do look cool. We look cool with a fucking violin. Who can make a violin look cool? We know that shit ain't cool. Violin ain't cool no matter how cool that shit sound. But we make that shit cool. We make a piano look cool. That shit ain't cool until we get on the keys. Nothing is cool until we do it. We set the standard for coolness. We can goddamn fucking fit. We can, what do we call it? What's that? Rubik's Cube? We can be spinning a Rubik's Cube. That shit look cool. Anything we do, we look cool because we got the juice. But that the fact that we have the juice is also our problem, right? Because everybody concentrate on us about the shit, and they just make that degenerate culture us. That's what identifies us. Like ghetto. What the fuck is ghetto? So a black woman in America with braids and a whole bunch of colors, that's ghetto. When a white woman does it, that's culture. Black women twerk and shake their ass, that's ghetto. Even though that's really just African culture. Ain't not one twerk technique that an African American does that's not some sort of traditional African twerking technique. As a matter of fact, African Americans are basic twerkers compared to these Africans over here. Okay, that's the goddamn truth. All right. If you look at how beautiful and thick our African American women are, if you want to see where they got it from, just bring your ass to West Africa. You notice that it's culturally consistent to have a goddamn massive backyard and a front yard. Big, thick women. But even in Western society, we shun all the shit that's African culture while talking about we ain't got no African culture. Everything we do is African culture. Remember them black eyed peas you eat for New Year's? You think that's African American culture? No, that's Nigerian culture. Black eyed peas is something that Nigerians culturally have been eating. Other West Africans, they call them white beans. That's something they've been eating for holidays, for specific reasons, for thousands of years. We just been doing the same shit. Everything you do as an African American is African culture. You think rapping is... That's why when they be like, who invented hip hop? I'm like, nigga, that shit, they've been doing that shit in Africa. What do you think a griot did? A griot used to rap stories and tell stories and teach people under the guise of a drum beat with or under the guise of one of the string instruments. We've been rapping. We've been rhyming, telling stories. We are poets. We've been doing that shit. It's just that it has evolved into what we call hip hop. Everything evolves. Culture always changes, evolves, and shit get added to it. African Americans are nothing but African Americans are the manifestation of Pan-Africanism. Because what happened was all them goddamn city-states in Nigeria and Ghana and all them people's fighting for whatever their reasons, and all the people who enslaved each other, right? Who fought each other, and all they end up on the same goddamn boat. None of them speaking the same language. They ended over here and they had a common oppressor. So they had to get over their shit real fast. They had to get over their shit real fast because they had no choice, right? Because they had this white guy they had to fight. In Haiti, they had no choice because they had to fight the goddamn French, right? In Jamaica, they had no choice. They had to fight them goddamn British and the Spanish. And African Americans had no choice. We had to fight Native Americans who ain't fuck with us. We had to fight Native Americans who was enslaving us. We had to fight British, Dutch, French. We had to fight all these bastards together. And we had to develop a goddamn a culture based off the common struggle of all of us who ended up over here because we didn't know how to get our shit together when that white man came and bribed us with guns and bullets and shit. You understand? So as an African American, you are the physical manifestation of Pan-Africanism. Period. So African people need to emulate us and do what we did, right? Because they have no choice. Because if they don't, this white man who's going extinct, this white man who's losing power, if you think he's just going to go quietly in the night, you got another motherfucking thing coming. Look what just happened to France. France is losing power in the Sahel. They're still trying to assassinate. Like, how many times are they going to try to assassinate the goddamn leaders of the Sahel Alliance while pretending in the media as if they're upstanding heads of state trying to just negotiate and do politics while they send their little spies in to try to fuck shit up. Like, we know white people have a scorched earth policy, meaning if we can't have it, you can't have it. To be honest, we should be worried about if the last white man going to press the damn button and drop nukes and fuck us all up. Be honest, the last white man going to press the button. I'm sure they got that shit written down somewhere. Hey, look, hey, when we get down to the last man, we need to make it so you can press this button by yourself and do it for the culture. All right, that's the shit we need to be worried about. What these white men going to do on the way out? As we can see in America, they on their way out. Look what they doing. They don't even care no more. The mask is off. Cat out of the bag. They don't give a shit. They're like, fuck it, we just gonna be straight racist. We arrested everybody. We shooting white folks who don't want to follow suit. All that shit. They don't care. So if we know how serious white people are and they're not playing games, we can't be playing games with each other, wasting time, fighting and delineating. Because what you FBA, Foundation of Black Americans, delineating to? To what? And what has it gotten you over 3 years? Your leader, he said them just jokes. He take your money and go to Africa. Right? And then as soon as he realized FBA don't make no money, he'll pivot again to something else like he been doing. He's a chameleon. He just pivoted to something else. Right? And he'll go ahead and say, well, I'm not the leader. Because, you know, once Tariq say he's not the leader, he washes his hands of you. He can wash his hands of FBA. The same way he washes his hands of Pan-Africanism. The same way he washes his hands of the pimp culture. The same way he washes hands of the rap culture. He washes hands of everything if it don't serve him. Right? And it's so disheartening to know that there's so many people that's still like, they're still under that spell. Because Tariq really ain't all that good at it. You know, he's kind of like outdated, like analog. He's like a tape and shit. Like we passed Blu-ray, we downloading shit. He's still a tape, and he's still falling for it, right? So that whole movement is just a waste of time. That whole movement goes nowhere. Talking shit about Africans on the internet don't do nothing. It make you feel good personally that you got a shout out. Most of these people talking shit about Africans, complaining about being called a kata, was never called a kata. Never even heard the word akata until somebody said that you should be offended by the word akata. Never looked up the definition of akata or never asked the African what akata mean. And most of the Africans saying akata are repeating it because they heard the African Americans say it. They don't even know what it means. In Nigeria, I asked somebody what's akata, they never even heard the shit. They've never heard of akata. Some have, but most never. That's not a word that they heard. And akata is not even a negative connotation. Just like, for instance, if African Americans and an African comes here and we call him a nigga. What's up, my nigga? Now, if let's say they have formal education, they found out that the word nigga is a derogatory term. They be like, oh, I'm not a nigga. That's disrespectful. Why are you calling me a nigga? Now, we know we saying nigga as a term of endearment because we took the word and we changed it, right? We metamorphosized it in order to mean something different. That's what we did, right? But you can't expect an African to know that because it's not like they had formal African-American education in Europe. In Africa, when they got the same British lackluster education that we got over here, all right? You can't expect them to know that. So they can be offended by that. And a white person can be like, hey, yeah, that African-American called you a nigga. You should be offended, right? And that's what they do. So now you got a bunch of Africans offended because they're being called a nigga by a bunch of African-Americans who don't mean it in that same way. Just like akata. I think it means like a wild cat or something like this. It has a prideful term to it, right? And it has a meaning to it, right? But it's not something negative, right? But you see how we end up getting tricked using semantics and we can easily hurt each other's feelings. And listen, ain't nobody can hurt our feelings. Like, we're very tough as African Americans. No, throughout no history, no group of people can ever like Joan. They can't Joan better than us. They can never bring the same energy as us. They can never. So we never had a situation as African Americans to where anybody can really one-on-one outdo us with anything. They always need attachments. They always need a gang. They always need a bunch of motherfuckers that can overwhelm us because when it comes to that one-on-one, as the internet will display, we are far superior when it comes to all that shit. But we forget that black power, that juice that we got comes from where, right? And we are not the only ones that got it, right? So when that African come over here, that look just like us, especially those fucking Nigerians, all right? Because that's who we are, right? And if you know anything about Nigeria and its relationship with the rest of Africa, the way the rest of Africa look at Nigerians is the way all of Africa, including Nigerians, look at us. Nigerians are the African Americans of Africa. Everywhere they go, they dominate in Africa. Because most of the rest of the continent of Africa are, I would say, not as aggressive. They have the ability to be aggressive, but naturally they're not as aggressive. Nigerians are very aggressive and boisterous and dramatic in the way they express themselves, right? Just like African Americans, we are very loud and boisterous and expressive in the way we express ourselves, right? So when a Nigerian comes to America, right, and here we go, we about to talk some shit, yeah. And then that fucking Nigerian end up talking shit back, we like, hold the fuck up. This motherfucker talking to me. Now my feelings hurt. For the first time, African Americans are able to get their feelings hurt by another black person with an accent. because they got that same juice that we do, and we're not used to that shit. And that's something we got to come to a grips with. That they got that same juice, because the fruit, all right, the fruit gets its nutrients from the root. That root is Nigeria. That root is Ghana. That root is Sierra Leone. That root is Benin, Togo. They got the same juice. All right. So when at some point, when they get tired of being nice, they're going to say, all right, you punk ass, thug ass, this and that. They're going to find a way to express, themselves to you. And that's going to hurt your feelings, especially the women. Listen, we know our black African-American women ain't got no fucking cut cars. They will cuss your motherfucking ass out. But black African-American women never had to run into another woman that can handle that shit until they met a Nigerian woman. And that fucking Nigerian woman looked like her. Got the same big ass, got the same breasts, just as thick, just as fine, right? And got just as swag attitude, and will snap her motherfucking neck the same way. And then y'all know women, they like to fight. So mainly it's just women, they can't handle that shit. They just get to battling. And then before you know it, there's a diaspora war. All right? Them black British, huh? Them black British, y'all gotta keep forgetting them black British. They came over here with us during the transatlantic slave trade. A lot of them went over there to rebuild Europe. All right? They are same people. They the same people as them Nigerians and them West Africans. So when them black Brits get online talking all that shit from all the way over there, we like, who the fuck are these motherfuckers talking shit? Y'all forget, that's you. They just got that British accent. All right? But that's you. That's why they look like you. And we having a hard time processing that shit. Like some of us. Because we're like, oh, these motherfuckers think they talking shit. So now we ready to go to war. But we can't just dominate them the way we dominate the Latino ones. We can't just dominate like the Asian one. We can't just dominate them like the white one, like the European. We talk shit, they shut the fuck up, don't they? When we say something, they shut the fuck up. That energy go way down. But when you run into that damn West African, them black women, them African American, like, motherfuckers, they don't back down. So now here we go fighting in the mirror. Fighting ourselves in the mirror. Right? That shit do be entertaining. I be liking that shit sometimes, but it be getting out of hand sometimes, because sometimes we don't know when to fucking stop. All right? And that's our problem. We have to put shit in perspective and understand the reason why we're getting so much pushback from our people is because they are people. Right? And that's just what it is. So like I said before, we need a great understanding with each other. Delineation does not work. Okay? Do you see Europeans? You see? All right, here we go. Europeans. When the British, right? When the British, all those white criminals who were sent to the New World, right? When they decided to delineate, let's look at history, because white people have delineated from each other. They delineated their ass to Australia. They delineated their ass to South Africa. They delineated their ass to North America. They delineated their ass to Greenland. They delineated their ass to South America. Now, for a while, shit was sweet, because they were delineating and they were rape, murdering, and pillaging, right? But keep in mind, we're talking about just 500-year history, which is nothing in the span of human history, right? Look at them now. They're so delineated and small as a group of people, they can't even replace their own population. Europeans don't want to come to America en masse because they look at the white Europeans as savage, barbarian Neanderthals. They don't want to have shit to do with white America. And they're going to stay right there in England, right? White people fought wars to delineate from their own homeland. We didn't do that. All right? We didn't fight to leave Africa. Europeans fought wars, killed thousands of themselves in order to delineate. And what did that get them? Now they're separated, they're sparsely populated, and they're going extinct. And strategically, they cannot replace their population. Because all white people are not moving to Australia to back up those Australians. All white people on the globe are not moving to South Africa to back up them Afrikaners and them Boers. All white people are not going back to their motherland, which is the peninsula of Asia, to reassure the European population there. Now all of them crying in all their former colonies talking about, we ain't got enough population. We ain't got no white folks. All of their economies is going down because their people are getting old and nobody's paying taxes. And if nobody pays taxes, the government becomes weaker and less effective. And at some point, we're going to take over all this shit. That's the truth. Because we the only ones that got the numbers. No matter what they do, at some point, we all taking their shit. And they know it. And it's their fault because they're the delineating policies that they implemented because they thought shit was sweet because they wanted to do shit by themselves. That should show you that delineation don't do shit. Look at them white boys that try to delineate into their own little camp because where they're from, they saw a Spanish person working at the Taco Bell, and so now they got to go up in the woods in the Ozarks and try to make an all-white community. Look how that delineation went. Huh? How's it going for them? Ain't going very well, is it? So breaking yourself up in smaller groups is a recipe for disaster. And paying attention to history and present will teach you that. This is the moment that white people are the most weakest, as their policies has destroyed their civilization. They ain't having babies because they created a capitalistic system that stresses out the population to the point where they can't afford to have babies. Same thing in Asia. You know why they ain't? China, for the billions of people they have, goddamn 800 million of them are old geezers. And they got no welfare for those people. So that means you're going to have a bunch of old people dying alone. Do you know China has an app that says, "Are you dead yet?" It's the most popular app in Chinese because Chinese people, because the economies and the way China is set up, people are lonely. People are by themselves. No one to take care of them and no social programs. So they have an app. Every 2 days, you got to press the button. I'm alive. And if you don't, they will send somebody out to go collect your body. That's how bad this shit is over there. India, because Indians and their caste system, they don't respect women because women are a burden, right? Because women are a burden, they do fanticide. That's why you got a whole country full of dudes. So for all the billions of Indians, it's about 800 goddamn million men who can't get no cooch, all right? Who can't reproduce. They got problems because of their society. We don't got that problem, all right? Good thing we're not into that shit as much. I mean, I'm sure there's some places in Africa that practice the fanticide, but not en masse, right? So you just look at how all other countries, these groups of people that set themselves up, these are bad policies. And despite what we've been going through as Africans, we kind of still been sticking to our shit, having babies, popping them out, right? Coping, utilizing our music and our culture. And we're going to be the last man standing. We was the first man standing. We're going to be the last man standing. But what happens when we are the last man standing? How do we take over all these institutions once these people can't do it? Because here's the thing. America is underpopulated. As much as white people are trying to get rid of these Mexicans, there's not enough people in America to keep this country running. There's not enough white people at all, right? We need immigration. Where are they going to get that from? The only place is Africa. As many Mexicans and Latinos there are, as far as the scale of population, they're not even significant. Plus, Latino is not a race. You got African Latinos, you got white Latinos, and Native American Latinos who pretend like they're not Native American, right? They just forgot that they're not Native, that they're Native American. They don't want nothing to do with that shit, right? But they in fact are Native Americans, right? But as far as population-wise, they're insignificant. There's only one group that's growing. That's Africans. So even though Asians are the number one, if you include Indians and Japanese and Chinese as the same group of people, I mean, that's what they're doing. If you separate them, we're the biggest population in the world. We're putting them together with the second biggest population in the world. And we're still growing. So if we're going to have to take over all institutions, including all academia institutions, all business institutions to continue to run this planet, the only thing we should be doing is unifying and organizing to get ourselves in all these positions of power to seamlessly take over once these other guys are on their way out. All right? Because that's just what it is. So let me see. What we got here. Heart is the right place, but he doesn't have to change history to be Pan-African. He doesn't have to change history about FBA to make them. I didn't change any history. I didn't change. I just told facts. These are facts. Everything I said was a fact. I gave no opinion. That's the thing about it. My heart's in the right place, but my mind's all is in the right place because I'm intelligent, right? I'm intelligent because I study. A lot of you people don't study. Y'all say y'all do research. That's a buzzword, but nobody does no actual research. You say I went to college for this, and before this, I was already into it. I watched boring shit on TV called news. I watch C-SPAN. I watch everybody's news. And I watch everybody from every perspective to get perspectives from different positions. I actually talk to people on the ground to get from their position so I know I'm not just talking on my ass. I never talk on my ass because I hate to be wrong. Even though it's not like I'm not wrong sometimes. I can admit when I'm wrong. But when I'm talking like this, I'm talking from, first of all, my worldly experience because I am a former United States Marine Corps special operator. I've been all around the world. I've been behind the line of clearance. I know shit. And a lot of my boys who subscribe to me, we know shit that you civilians don't know nothing about. I've been in rooms with people and I've done shit that you wouldn't believe. I've been places you would not believe. Like I've had I've had my own squad of Taliban before. Yeah. Me. I had my own squad of Taliban before. Me. I was in charge of 5 Taliban fighters in Afghanistan. And what was I doing? What was I doing? I was protecting opium. That's what we was over there doing. Fighting for opium, because opium only grows in certain parts of the world. Opium. Okay? That's what we were doing in Afghanistan. Don't ever let them think we were doing anything else. The Taliban. So when you see these Taliban that's in charge now, because the Taliban is a political organization created by the United States government to fight Russia. So all that shit y'all see on TV is bullshit. Because the people in charge are the ones we allowed to be in charge. Because it's different when you're in the mountains and we got to chase your ass down. It's another thing when you know you're in the capital in them goddamn government buildings. We know exactly where you are. We can bomb you anytime you want. Yeah, you take over. And the people who were fighting the Taliban, that was the government that was in charge, was just as bad as the Taliban. They didn't respect their women. They had Sharia law. They was just as savage barbarian as the Taliban. There was no good guys over there. I took my Taliban fighters and we went and go find other Taliban fighters. And you know what we did when we left Afghanistan? You see this? Because we didn't leave Afghanistan, okay? We left Afghanistan, right? Because we're not leaving that opium. Because the medical industry need that shit. Because like I said, it only grows in certain places. And we ain't burn none of that shit. I had opium in my, man, I was playing with that. You can knock somebody out with an opium plant. Them bitches is thick. All right. I'm talking about opium everywhere. You just, god damn, like everywhere. We ain't burn none of that shit. I was over there with the DEA. The DEA was collecting that shit. All right. The FBI was over there. Every 3-letter every agency was over there, and they were securing the opium trade on behalf of the medical industry, because that's where the money is. The Taliban made money with opium. That's the only way they had made money. The farmers had no choice but to grow opium, because that was the only way they can make money in Afghanistan, because you can't grow shit there. The same way in Colombia, the farmers have no choice but to grow coca leaf, because that's their only means of production. Like I'm telling you, a lot of y'all don't know what the hell is really going on. I know what I'm talking about. All right. I know what I'm talking about. Okay. All about drugs. So the Taliban that you see there are the Taliban we allowed to be in charge. And you know what we did after that? We went along and we sponsored and financed another terrorist organization who is currently now attacking the Taliban. Yes. We gave the Taliban all of our equipment. We gave the Taliban all of them $1 million trucks and equipment, and told them, yeah, y'all go ahead and protect your country now, right? Because it's cheaper. Listen, it's cheaper to leave all that shit there than it is to put all that shit back on them big ass goddamn Navy ships and send it back to America. You know why? Let me tell you why. They didn't take all that American equipment and put it back on the planes and bring it back, because those planes and those ships was filled with something else. You go ahead and guess what it was. They didn't have space. You understand? So like I said, I be knowing what the hell I'm talking about. All right. Because I've been in a world that most people have never seen. That's why I talk the way I talk. I can't talk any different. I talk real. Because once you're exposed to that shit at a young age, why you think so many veterans come back and kill themselves? Because they know what they was over there doing. Because they know why they had to kill people. They know when they was in combat and they saw their friends blow up and they had to blow up some other people who were just simply there fighting to protect their land. We know why we were doing it. It fuck your head up. When you realize there's no righteousness, there's no right, there's no good guy, no bad guy. It was just all bad guys. And troops and soldiers and warriors, just like time immemorial, is nothing but pawns in the game of rich people. So that's just what that is. So like I said, I be knowing what I'm talking about. And when it comes to night, I'm an expert at counterterrorism. I know what's happening in the North. I know who's sponsoring that shit in the North. I know what's happening. All right. And like I said, I'm a historian, so I know, and I'm very much interested in my own culture, because Nigeria and what's going on today is directly correlated to what happened 500 years ago. The fact that I exist is because of what's happening now and what's happening back then. Everything is connected. And the colonization and the exploitation of Africa has not stopped in 500 years, but it's stopping now, right? This war is a generational war. And it's just that we have to maintain our memory, and we have to do our due diligence, our history, reconnect with ourselves so we can understand why shit's happening the way it's happening. So we were not blind. That's the whole point of being woke. Waking up to your surroundings, waking up to your understanding, waking up to what's going on in this world. Let me see me read it. Yeah, he did. He did. Tariq loves Africa, man. This is the thing. Tariq don't hate Africans. That's what makes it so diabolical. Tariq has no hate for Africans. He's not really xenophobic. He's playing the people who gonna buy them FBA shirts. He's playing the people who's gonna buy the FBA flags. He's playing the people who's gonna finance his project, the next project, so that he can make 100% profit because he's gonna resell that shit right back to him. Tariq Nasheed loves Africa. He goes every year. Tariq Nasheed been going to Africa. Why would you go to a place you didn't like? He tells all his people, he makes fun of Africans all day long, talking about they this and that, and then he end up over there eating the same shit he talks shit about. Jollof rice. That shit good. All right, jollof rice good shit. It's just like our yellow rice. It's the same shit, be honest. Be honest, it's the same shit. The only difference is they use the palm oil and we use other oil, so it gives it a little different flavor. But for real, it's the same shit. Gumbo. It's gumbo. That's all it is. It's gumbo. All right, different versions of gumbo. And I have to say, I shit probably better. Gumbo's better. All right, you go down south, goddamn Louisiana, shit, boy, anybody fucking. Anybody, hey, listen, anybody fucking without cooking. You want to start diaspora war? African Americans, we make the best food. Period. That shit been proven. Everybody know it. All right, I'm done with that part. I start some shit right here. Let me see. But yeah, but Tariq, he don't hate Africa. He love Africa. And why you think he talking about it? He's permanently attached to Africa, right? It's just that Tariq Nasheed can get somebody to call up there and he just shoot the shit. He just talk shit, right? But even when he talking shit, he just be joking. But the people that listen to him, they don't think he's joking. They taking that shit seriously. And Tariq don't give a shit if you take it seriously because like he ain't the leader. He keeps saying it because he's the leader. So if the leader say he ain't the leader, all you guys following him will be like, yeah, he ain't the leader because he said he ain't the leader because the leader said he ain't the leader. That's what he does. He knows how to play people like hoes. He's a Mac. All right, K-Flex. And he's flexing on them. All right. This is his biggest. Look, he ain't never had this many hoes in his life until he came up with this FBA shit. But that shit drying up because ISO Speed fucked that shit up for him big time. All right. And because he validated everything us Pan-Africans been talking about. He validated shit. And it's just too much content out there to go against what it is he been saying. So now he kind of on TikTok, he's lightened up his tone. He's kind of lightening it up so he can phase out. He's not going to just cut cold turkey. He's going to fade out the same way he fade out of the Pan-Africanism. When did you find out he wasn't Pan-African? After what hidden colors? How many hidden colors did he drop before he stopped being Pan-African? It took a little while, right? So, yeah. All right, well, that's it. I'm about to get out of here. I've been running that mouth for what? An hour and see, that's why I don't be going live. I be running my goddamn mouth. That's why I don't be going on panels. Because them niggas don't give me enough time. I need an hour and a half for myself. All right? I ain't got time for them running their mouth talking about some bullshit I don't want to hear when I got shit to say. But anyway, I'm going to start doing this shit more often. All right? I keep saying that, but I am going to start doing it. All right? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my talk. I see a bunch of people was talking shit. You know, that's to be expected. You know, I don't care, you know, at all because they listening, right? You talk shit, but you listening. And y'all always there. And y'all stay there. And eventually, I'm going to bring y'all over because y'all be coming over. Y'all be emailing all the time. I used to be FBA. I used to talk shit about you, man. But you know what? You be right. Like, yeah, that's why I do what I do because I got that energy. And I got that time, too. Shit. All day, every day. Anyway, that's all I got to say for now, guys. This Afro Think Tank. Learn some, teach some. I'm out.